All right, you all. So welcome. It's your girl, Carlika Katrina Basnight-Menendez. Yes, all of that. And I am, of course, excited always about what's the one word that we're talking about? Menopause. And I hope you all are excited too, because we have an amazing guest. Miss Jolinda Johnson is here in the building with us, you all. And she's going to introduce herself. But who am I, right? You're probably like, who is this lady? She's screaming out menopause. No one want to scream it out. Well, we're screaming it out, right? So on social media, in person, wherever, getting this information out so that you can be educated, empowered, and encouraged, because we need encouragement. So you need to find your girlfriend tribe, find you a community that you're like, look, they're excited. They have embraced menopause. They're just taking it one day at a time, one step at a time, and taking care of themselves. Look, I want you all to take a look at the word menopause. First two letters, M-E. Meaning, let me take care of me. This is my menopausal journey. So nothing that we're saying up here is to give you a diagnosis. Seek your medical professional team, whoever that is on your team. So look, let me get a couple of things out of the way. September 16th and 17th, mark your calendars. You don't want to miss it. MenoCon, and right, you're right. It's all with the Meno. So MenoCon 2022, this is the ultimate menopause and women's wellness conference. You are right here in St. Mary's, Georgia. And you're like, Carly, I don't know where St. Mary's, Georgia. Go ahead and look it up. Because I didn't know where it was either before we moved here. But look it up. It will be held here. And this is just for the everyday woman saying, you know what? I want to learn more about menopause before, because I'm telling you, I don't know about you, Miss Jolinda, but I wish I would have had community. I wish I would have had more education behind what could I expect. Right. And so many of you have heard my story, and you're going to keep hearing it, right? Because I didn't go through perimenopause. I had a total hysterectomy at the age of 30 years old with no guidance, no support, just a bunch of pamphlets. And then I had the surgery, and I was left to figure it out. And that's why I'm passionate about it, because I don't want the next woman, because there's over 600,000 women every single year, just in the US alone, getting hysterectomies. I don't want them to have to suffer. I don't want them to have to dig deep looking for all of the answers when they have that first hot flash and you're looking around like, what in the heck is going on here? And so mark your calendars. You all are invited to join us. So welcome, Ms. Jolinda. Excited to have you.
Excited to be here, Carlika. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are welcome. So introduce yourself. Let everyone know who you are and what you're doing in the world.
My name is Jolinda Johnson, and I am an award-winning holistic health coach, a life coach, as well as a mentor and priestess who is passionate about perimenopause and burnout, and also changing the narrative around both of those things when it comes to people of color, the LGBTQIA community, and those under 45, because I feel like those under 45 often get left out of the menopause conversation, to the point where they're having all these symptoms and they don't even realize what's actually happening, because we associate it with, 50 plus. And I basically help my clients to reclaim their health through mind, body, and spiritual support, and be able to work with the changing hormones with greater confidence and self-compassion, and to be their own advocates, because this journey definitely involves a lot of advocating for yourself, especially for women of color, who in medicine we're so used to, being ignored because we don't need help. Right. Or being labeled angry because we're standing up for ourselves. So, yes. That's what I'm about.
And I love that, because a lot of women are looking for more holistic remedies, and even trying to find things that's holistic and affordable, right? Like you said, we have to be our biggest advocates. And I can definitely attest to everything that you just said, Jolinda, being classified as an angry woman because I spoke up, and didn't let you just talk to me any kind of way. And even though I was professional, I was still labeled, right? I was still labeled as angry, or I was labeled as aggressive, or I was labeled, I'm like, but the way you came at me was more aggressive than anything. So I can relate to going to multiple doctors and not getting any answers. I can relate to going to the doctor and I'm in pain and I'm telling them the meds that you keep giving me are making me sicker. And they're like, no, it's in your head.
And this is after the hysterectomy.
This is, yes. This is before the hysterectomy. And then I was having some other issues with my stomach. And they were just prescribing these meds, and I'm like, okay, this is not working. I feel worse. And one of the nurse practitioners, she said, well, I just think it's all in your head. I mean, I guess maybe you like pain meds. Oh, so I'm a drug seeker, right, for prescription pain meds. And I was like, no, here are all the pain meds right here, because I don't like that feeling. I like to be very coherent about my surroundings. And so I love what you're doing for the communities that you're serving, and just saying, be your own advocate, right? Finding people that you can trust, finding people that you can have these conversations with. And so tell us, one thing for sure, when you said under 45, because I'm 42, but I had a hysterectomy at 30. And I'm proud of all of the things that people are doing for women over 50. Like, congratulations, y'all. But for those of us who are not there, you do feel left out, because the thing I get all the time is, oh, you look too young. Oh, you're too young to be menopausal. And I'm just like, wow, thank you, I guess, for the compliment. However, every woman does not go through menopause naturally. And so for yourself, tell us a little bit about your journey of how and why you even got started in doing what you're doing.
Well, I think it's really interesting how the loudest voices in the menopause space, or I should say the perimenopause space, tend to be those who are at the end, or who have already crossed that threshold and are looking backwards and saying, I wish I had known these things. And there are very few people who are in the process themselves saying, this is what's happening and this is what's coming. Right. And this is how I'm preparing myself. And that's my perspective, because I, as a health coach, I did my holistic health coach certification before my life coach certification. And I specialized in hormone health as part of that. So I was aware of perimenopause starting at 35 and with the decline in progesterone. Right. A lot of people will notice changes around 37 that don't necessarily have to do with their menstrual cycle, but with their mood and their sleep. All of a sudden they can't sleep through the night, or the week before their period, it's like, every little thing is just like there's no stress resilience. It's like, what? The person that you decided to share your life with, that you used to want to be around all the time, it's like,
get away. Like, give me space.
And a lot of times that happens in our late 30s, but no one associates it with perimenopause, because no one really talks about how after 35 you start producing less progesterone, and then by 40 typically you don't ovulate every cycle, and that adds to that. Right. And then there's this period in the middle, which tends to be between 40 and 45 for a lot of us, where estrogen is surging, and so you're not getting the things that come later on, like vaginal dryness and stress incontinence and hot flushes, that always get a lot of attention, but you're getting really heavy periods. Right. Those of us who have fibroids, I don't have fibroids, but those of us who have fibroids, because they feed off of estrogen, those become very problematic. Any pre-existing ovarian cysts, that's another thing that can become very problematic during this time. So more pain, sore breasts, bloating, lots of water retention, changes in your digestion as well.
Yeah.
This is all in the middle period of, between 40 and 45. That just doesn't, it can be really problematic if you don't know what's going on, and people aren't associating it with perimenopause.
Right.
And then, later on, that's when we start seeing estrogen fluctuating, and some of the more typical symptoms come in. And but I'm really passionate about helping people to understand that perimenopause is not just a, flash in the pan. It actually is
Right.
usually for those who go through it naturally, it's like a 10-year transition.
Right.
Lots of changes are happening in your body, with your emotions. And if you are able to, it's also a time spiritually where we really get in touch with our real purpose for why we're here.
Yeah.
We have a lot more courage to share our truth.
Yes. Very, like, you have so much more courage. I think just very unapologetic. That's why we're sitting here, right? Because like I said, I'm 42, and I love that you're niched down, because a lot of people look at menopause as just this hole. And I'm just like, it's transitional points if you go through it naturally. Now, for myself, because I didn't go through it naturally, I typically say I was thrown into it. So for me, I really want women to be prepared, if that is the option that you make for yourself, right? How you can be prepared before, because it's a lot of mental. It is a lot of mental work between that, and life after a hysterectomy, right? Because that 10-year or longer span of going through perimenopause, look,
not an option.
Not an option. Right. That's not an option for me. And so now my audience is more life after a hysterectomy. What does that look like for you once you have your first consultation to now you wake up and you maybe had a partial or you had a total? For myself, it's more total, because even with one ovary, you can still produce some estrogen and different things. So my thing is life after the hysterectomy. So I love what you're doing, because that the perimenopause transition, a lot of women have no clue even when it starts, and just knowing, okay, this is a possibility, and what can I do before I get there, because I don't know when I'm going to get there, and then while I'm in it, what can I do? So with your clients and different things, and then you definitely can share your programs, or how we'll get into how people can get connected with you as well. What are some holistic, just a tip or two? Because look, you all, if you're looking for more holistic programs and different things, you definitely want to connect with Jolinda, because she is saying, you know what, perimenopause, right? This is a long stretch. So what are some tips you don't mind sharing on a holistic side to say, look, before you get to perimenopause, how you can recognize when you're in perimenopause and why you're going through it? Because if you're going through it currently.
Yes. Currently in perimenopause.
Wow. A lot of women are in business and different things, and you can still thrive in your business while going through this transition. So just share some of the things that you do, or how you help your clients as well.
Well, I think some of the basic things that we need to be aware of. So when your period starts changing by a couple of days, like getting shorter by a couple of days, for those of us who track it very carefully, that is the body kind of winking at you and saying, this is the beginning. This is the very beginning. And you probably won't notice anything that's too disruptive. But that's your first clue. When you say you like clockwork are always at a 28-day cycle, and then it's 26 consistently, then it's just like things are gonna start changing. And so in terms of preparing yourself, it's really good to have an awareness of how to support your foundational hormones. So starting with insulin, how do you keep your blood sugar balanced throughout the day? One great thing is to include protein, fat, and fiber in all of your meals and snacks. So if you're used to grabbing, like some of my clients who are really busy, a piece of toast and a coffee, and that's your typical breakfast, like think about adding some protein and fat to that, because you're going to become a lot more sensitive to things that before didn't affect you so much,
Right.
So protein, fat, and fiber is a great way to stabilize blood sugar and support your energy levels throughout the day. More emphasis on protein. So I definitely don't advocate doing keto or anything that's not sustainable. For me, keto is not sustainable. Right. But you want to increase and really focus on how much protein you're getting, because that's something that I see with across the board. A lot of my clients are just not getting enough protein. So, for most of us, it's 75 to 100 grams a day, depending on our activity level. And in terms of activity, one of the best things you can do is get into strength training as a consistent part of your lifestyle, because we're losing muscle mass. Right. And if you do nothing, then it's gonna go.
Right. It's not gonna be of any. Right. What is the saying? Like, if you don't use it, you can lose it. So
yeah, you will lose it. But when we build muscle, we're also helping our body to metabolize carbohydrates and sugar more efficiently. There's something called muscle brain crosstalk. So it can help to boost our memory and our mood, which are two things that often suffer through this transition. Right. It can help us to feel strong in our bodies. So, there's a lot of emphasis, and I think it goes back to, everything's changing. So what can we control? What can we feel like we have control over? And for a lot of us, especially those such as myself who have recovered from an eating disorder in the past, this is also a time where you might become fixated on your weight. So when we're strength training, that feeling of being strong in your body can help you to release some of that obsession of what your actual size is, right?
I love that you brought that point up, because that's another topic that, especially in our communities, is another topic that's really not talked about. And I can definitely relate. I used to have an eating disorder as well. I was anorexic, and I felt like I could not get skinny enough. Like, I don't care, at 80 pounds, I still looked in the mirror and I saw a fat girl. So I'm glad that I have overcame that, because mentally, if I hadn't, with some of the weight gain that I have had, which hasn't been, it actually, the weight gain looks better than the sticks and the bones per se.
I'm sure it does.
Right. And so, but if I wasn't in a good mental space, that could have threw me back.
Absolutely.
And I may not be sitting here today because, like you said, I would have gotten fixated on the scale. I would have got fixated on, oh my gosh, I've never had weight, or, oh my gosh, I'm just fat, or, so many negative things that I would have told myself, that 9 times out of 10, I may not would be sitting here today doing what I'm doing, because I could possibly be dead, or in rehab, or just so ashamed and no self-esteem to even speak out. So thank you for bringing that up, because a lot of times that's another topic that's not discussed. And when we have all these changes that start occurring, if we're not in a good mental space, it can do a lot to us mentally, emotionally, physically, as well. So that's very good point.
Absolutely. And because we're surrounded by all of these messages, I like to say we're in the soup. And when we get to, we're surrounded by it always, those of us who've been socialized as women, but especially in midlife. This is a time when we really are meant to expand into our fullness.
Yes, I love that.
And the patriarchy says, no.
Like,
now that you're finally coming into your power, I'm going to find this artificial reason for you to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
You should be this size.
Yeah.
You need to lose this amount of weight. It's all BS. It's all BS.
I agree.
Because if you look at the people who are, have had amazing impact in the world, is if I asked you what their size is, what their dress size is, it's like, it's totally irrelevant to what they've accomplished.
Like, I don't know. I don't know, and I really don't care. Like, that's not what I'm going to research.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what you're going to remember about them.
No.
And I often say to my clients, like, how do you want to be remembered? Because we're getting to the second half of our lives. So how do you want to be remembered? Because I know that if everyone's sitting around and saying, I really admire Jolinda for how disciplined she was. I never saw her eat any carbs. And she didn't gain any weight between 35 and 85. I mean, she's always the same size. Wasn't that just fantastic? Like, I have majorly failed if that's the case.
Like, is that all you remember? And like, is that all you all took from all this content that I post and things that all the testimonials and different things? Is that it? Golly. Jolinda, what did you do with your life?
Exactly. So why are we giving so much, energy to that when we're alive, right?
Yes.
So another thing,
I think we take back time. We take back time when we waste time on things that don't even really matter, right?
Absolutely. I feel like this is a time of reclaiming.
Yes.
What I often talk about with my clients is perimenopause is a time when, because we all know those women who have that postmenopausal zest, where they're just like, this is me.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I don't care if you don't like my hair, my makeup, my clothes. I'm throwing on these jogging pants with these slides, with heels. Say something if you want to. I don't care. I'm that woman, Jolinda. You talking about me.
Exactly. And so you don't get to that place unless you choose to practice radical self-acceptance and self-compassion throughout this transition.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And so instead of, when you notice yourself changing, it's a time to really look at, okay, right, this is not how I have been in the past, but isn't that the point? I'm evolving, I'm changing, I'm allowing myself to change.
Yes.
On those days when you're really frustrated with the symptoms, it's, focus on what your body still is allowing you to do.
Yes. And that's what I do, because I've had hot flashes and different things. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't care if I'm on a live video. I can look like I'm just ran a whole 5K sitting up here, and I'm going to be up here like, all right, y'all. So, and someone else may not feel comfortable. They be looking like, oh gosh, yes, I am. And I did not go run a 5K. I'm sitting here right in front of you all, and I'm just breaking out in this sweat. You know what it's called? A hot flash. So I agree. You become more fearless, you become more courageous, you become more, if you embrace the changes, right? Yes. And not me focusing on my waist size, but then let me determine what I was doing at maybe 25 and 35. Okay, I can't maybe eat that same way. Maybe I need to change my eating. Maybe I'm not used to working out. Okay, so now let me do some strength. Find a solution, because we have options.
Yes, absolutely. And that's, another thing that, going back to some of the holistic things to look at, because I am all for, hormone replacement therapy when your symptoms are disrupting your life. And in the case of those who have had a total hysterectomy, I am always, I just don't understand why that's not a conversation that I've spoken with a lot of women of color who've had total hysterectomies, who have suffered extreme symptoms, because no one has told them that they should have hormone replacement therapy.
I can tell you, when it was presented to me, it wasn't presented. First of all, I was still recovering from the eating disorder. So the doctor, all she kept saying seemed like that was the loudest thing she was saying. Oh, you'll have some weight gain. Oh, you'll have some weight. Like, I felt that's the only thing I heard her say. But then when I think about the mindset that I was in, I was 30. I was still overcoming the eating disorder. So once you said weight gain, what? But it wasn't presented. It still wasn't presented in a way for me to make an informed decision for myself. And so now I'm still not on anything. And right now I can't get on anything because of an abnormal mammogram and different things that's going on. So right now my doctor's like, well, I can't give you a patch or anything like that, but I can say I'm not suffering as much because I've, like you said earlier, about tracking and paying attention to your periods. I track and trend very closely the changes or what's going on with my body. I track and trend what mindset or what was I doing when I got this hot flash, so that I can identify and recognize, okay, is it something that I can do different to help myself in this transition in the meantime, and different things. So I love that you said that, because look, this is why we're doing this. So women can understand you have options. You just have to know what those are and be able to have a conversation with your medical providers or teams or whoever that consists of for you to make a sound decision for yourself. Like you said, advocate for yourself.
Yeah. And there are so many things that you can do, even if you do choose to do bioidentical hormones, for example, there are still so many choices that you can make on a daily basis regarding diet and lifestyle that will help those hormones to function even better in the body. So some of the things that a lot of us need to renegotiate, and I say renegotiate because it's not about avoiding something forever, but it's I like to say, how does, give yourself permission to have whatever you want, and then be aware of the feedback that your body is giving you.
Right. Because I know for myself, when I increased my fiber, I keep my stress levels as low as possible and making sure I get enough rest. That has been a game changer in my weight. It has been a game changer in my energy. It has just been a total game changer. So even incorporating more protein and just making those small but big changes for my everyday life, because I'm here and I ain't going nowhere right now. So I have to take care of me. And so I love what you're doing, Jolinda. I definitely want to respect your time. And so let everyone know how they can connect with you or what programs you have available.
Well, by the time this airs, my course Fire Up will have launched. So that will be available. And you can find out more about that on my website, jolindajohnson.com. And that's a foundational hormone course that focuses on burnout as well as perimenopause.
Congratulations!
And so, and I also have guest interviews in there with a naturopath in New Zealand, a friend of mine, who's offering specialized interviews on things like when you hit that wall of exhaustion and chronic fatigue, and because burnout is another thing that we don't just reach overnight. It also has a lot of phases. And so, but there's really a lack of information around what happens when you find yourself at the intersection of these two things.
Right.
The burnout and the perimenopause transition. And when you're already going through, like this time of emotional stress, hormonal stress, how do you make your way through it? So that's coming up. And as you said, Instagram, follow me on Instagram. I'll be doing a new cohort of group coaching in the spring. So that's something to keep your eyes out for, especially for people going through the perimenopause transition.
Yes.
And then depending on availability, I work with people one-on-one, but that's the kind of the top of the the pyramid.
I feel you with the one-on-ones. Okay, look, let's all just get in a group setting so y'all can meet some other people too, right? So we can just come together as one at one time, talking about the same thing. Get your answers, questions, connect with some. Look, I understand. I say the same thing with one-on-ones. If you just have to have a one-on-one and time permits and it's feasible on the schedule, we can do it. Other than that, that is not one of the things that I readily promote.
I love working with groups because I also feel like it's so important to be witness for your experience and to recognize that you are not alone in your experience, and to feel validated and supported in that space is really powerful. But Fire Up is the course it's accessible, and it really is for high achievers who want to recover their brilliance and blaze a brand new trail, because that's what I'm passionate about. Whether I'm doing burnout or perimenopause, it's about helping people to get back their spark so they can go set the world on fire. Because when we get those physical symptoms managed, then we have a lot more energy available for shining our light. And we are all here to shine our unique brilliance in the world. And you are an example of that, Carlika. Absolutely.
Thank you. Look, you all heard it first. Look, get enrolled. Okay, so you can go out here and set the world on fire. I love that because this is igniting all by itself, right? I love your energy and your spirit, and you're like, look, go set the world on fire, you all, and whatever that may be. Right? Whatever your brilliance is, whatever your lane is. But Jolinda is saying, before you get to burnout, before you even get to perimenopause, and if you're in perimenopause, you definitely want to connect with her, right? She's going to be your go-to person, because I can't help you in perimenopause. I don't know that journey right there. I don't know that journey. And so if you have surgical menopause, look, I can help you on that one. Look, life after a hysterectomy, I can help you there. But if you're in perimenopause, don't feel like you're alone. Don't feel like you have to be silent. Don't feel like you have to go do all of the research for yourself. You have an award-winning life coach and health coach right here, ready to serve and support you. So you all stay tuned. Get connected and go light the world on fire. That's going to be my thing for the rest of this week. And I'm lighting the world on fire. Okay. That's
you are, Jolinda. You are.
So thank you so much, Jolinda, for your yes. I just appreciate you taking time out of your day and your schedule to light it up for Menopause March Madness. Look, she said Menopause March Madness on fire. So thank you so much. I'm just grateful. You all, I get excited because I get to meet all of these amazing women and see what they're doing in the world. And this is not the last, right? Because I believe in the power of collaboration, because we set the world on fire when we're taking our own specific areas in our own niche, and we're helping that woman in perimenopause. We're helping the woman who said, you know what, I had medical menopause or I had surgical menopause, but we're coming together talking about one word though. Just different avenues of it, because menopause is not a one size fits all. And there are so many different aspects of it, and we're touching all of them. So once again, you all remember, when you change your perspective, you change your life. And we're changing the narrative and perspective of menopause, no matter what your vehicle may be where you get there. But every woman will get there, and your symptoms may not be the same, but make sure you have support. Make sure you find communities such as Jolinda, myself, and all these amazing different women that we've had joining us. Find them. We're right on Instagram, right? So make sure you connect. And until the next time, we'll see you later.